Great Scott. Great Scott. Great Scott.
Hello everyone, and welcome to a cast-changing, character-changing, alteration episode of Great Scott. I'm Scotty V. Thanks for watching. I'm coming to you live today from Slovakia. I want to talk a little bit about the idea that in today's climate, in today's world, we are really seeing a changeover of characters that traditionally we are used to having a certain way. And now I wanted to talk about the actual castings on TV shows and in movies that are changing the look and the style of characters that people are used to reading a different way. Most recently, what I noticed was on a TV show that's being made called The Preacher, which I'm not even a fan of, I'm not even that familiar with. The lead female character, who was originally a blonde Caucasian woman, has now been cast someone who looks different from that. And what they're doing a lot of times, as they did with Perry White, as they did with Pete Ross so many years ago on Smallville, it's not new, as they did with Lana Lang on Smallville. People said, she has red hair, she's a white girl. She was of Asian descent. I guess a mix. Dean Cain, even on Lois and Clark. But at that time, I honestly don't think that they were saying, we need to cast someone who's part minority, or part Hawaiian, or part whatever. They just cast somebody who seemed like he could portray Superman. And he did have the look of Superman, even if he was not completely Caucasian. Now, what they're doing now is they're trying to diversify, and ultimately, I think it's going to be a good thing. It can't be negative. It's a positive thing. It bothers me and some other fans sometimes because we see our Jimmy Olsen and we go, this isn't the golly gee, freckled, red-haired, young white kid. Now he's a black guy. He's older. He's kind of sexy. He's good-looking. He's muscular. And he's fit. And he's pushing 40, which isn't normally what you think of as Jimmy. But I've already talked about this. I'm sure it'll be fine. And ultimately, adding more diversity, as Steve has said, as others have said, adds to the realism in a lot of cases because everybody in the world isn't one type. Everybody in cities in America isn't one type. It's a melting pot. We've got all kinds of different people from all kinds of different origins all over the place. The reason it becomes an issue is because that's fine, but the characters we know and love aren't these other things. They are what they are. It's just as bothersome to me when they change any race. It doesn't matter if it's white or black or Asian. If the character is what the character is, the characters should remain what they are. I recently read a post on Twitter from an artist who was drawing I think she was part Mexican and part African-American character, and he made her the color he thought she would be with his numbered color system in his computer when he was coloring it. And he got a note from his editor saying, can you please change this to a lighter color? And he of course was confounded by it, wrote back saying, what's the deal? I thought she was half this and half that. What does it matter what the shade of her is? And she said, well, we have this look. And he didn't change it, and it didn't happen, and it never brought up again, and fans didn't care, and it didn't matter. He said that now her appearance has been listed as Latina, and his problem with that is Latinas range so far, they could be any mix, and it doesn't have to be half black, which to him, because he was a black artist, it was very important to him that the blackness of her heritage stayed in her character. Just like it's important to a lot of fans that the golly genius of Jimmy stay in his character. So it goes both ways, and probably all ways. It's not just a matter of, well, these white people don't want to have minorities in their stories. And I don't have any issue with that at all. And I actually think, in the end, even if they're changing Jimmy and Lana and Perry White and the girl on Powers and the girl in Preacher, I think overall it's going to be a good thing. In the end, more people get jobs. There's more diversity. Kids who may only see one type of person in their everyday life because of where they live or whatever, see the diversity on television, see that the world is a multicultural place, and overall, there's nothing negative about that. So I think everybody needs to just roll with the punches, roll with the flow, go with it. You know, I'm not thrilled that it seems like no character is safe from being changed from what we expect them to be. And when they're famous and when they're really popular and when they've been around for years and years, it's oftentimes harder to take. The Supergirl Jimmy Olsen is not going to be relatable as Jimmy Olsen to lots and lots of people, myself included, but I'm just going to watch it and take it. Same way that Lana was not really relatable to the Lana that I was familiar with. And Pete Ross, a much less famous character, most of the people watching the show probably didn't even know there was a Pete Ross in the comics. I told you before, I talked with people that didn't even know Smallville was a show about Superman in the beginning years. So it's not all that evident all the time, but when you have the female lead, such in a show like Preacher or Powers, it's much more noticeable. To the fans of Preacher and the fans of Powers, they go, well, that's not Dina or the other girl from Preacher. That's somebody that they decided to cast because they're trying to make the show more diverse. And that's generally what it looks like to me. They're really just saying, well, we need to make our cast more diverse. There's so many shows on TV that are just white person after white person after white person. And that might be fine, but how about we bring in some other types of people? Because in the world, there are other types of people. So, as much as this wasn't an episode primarily about Superman, it does relate because they recently cast Cyborg on the Supergirl series, also as a black guy. And my problem with that is Cyborg Superman was a copy of Superman with the exception of being partly cybernetic. And the assumption at the time during the storyline was that one of these 4 imposter Supermen could be the real embodiment of Superman, could be a resurrection of Superman. Maybe Cyborg was Superman returned from the grave with his injuries fixed by way of cybernetic parts. Maybe his soul went into Superboy. Maybe his essence is into Steel or something. Or maybe Steel is just here to fill the void. But it's hard to say. It's hard to be fooled by, and we're not going that storyline on Supergirl, so it almost doesn't matter. And it's been changed in the New 52, so it almost doesn't matter. But it would be hard to say, hey, maybe that guy's really the dead Superman returned from the grave, when he's not even the same race, and he's older, and he doesn't look anything like Superman. So sometimes, like with Storm, or with Black Panther, sometimes you can't change the character without changing the essence of what that character was supposed to have meant when he was launched. But overall, I think diversity is a great thing. I think that it's the idea that they don't care, and they're saying, we're going to cast people because we want to make our show more diverse and maybe more reflect the world that we're really living in, can't be a negative thing. But it can be negative and somewhat confusing to fans who for years and years have been used to characters being what they have always been. And that kind of a change, sometimes like with costumes, but that's more temporary, can be harder to relate to and harder to understand and harder to get behind. But again, we are in a changing world. We are in a world where anybody can be anybody. And I say with complete sincerity that I think it can be a good thing in the end. Thanks everybody for watching, and remember, always look up in the sky. Brother, brother, there's too many of you dying. Say mother, 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 there's far too many of you crying. Oh, there's got to be a better way to find some loving here today. Yeah, yeah, yeah.